Everybody, welcome. I call to order our regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting for tonight, March 19th, 2024. First item on our agenda tonight is our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Tim Epling, who is the area pastor for Hope Community Church and a local resident of Fuquay-Varina, to lead us in our invocation tonight. Tim's church does a lot in Fuquay-Varina and has evolved throughout the year. And I know you, Tim, your church has also worked hard with Toys for Tots and amongst many different programs in our community. So thank you for your church's involvement here in our community. I've asked our fire chief, Jim Jones, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. And Jim's got a big, exciting week also coming up later this week. We'll be talking about later on our agenda too. So thank you, Chief Jones. If everyone please stand.
Let's pray. Lord, I certainly would be amiss if I did not express thankfulness and gratitude for our community. We just live in a great place. This time of year, the pollen is a little rough for us, but it's still a great place to live. I think if I could pray for anything specifically in this year, while we have elections, while we have national elections, it would be unconditional love for one another and respect. Regardless of political persuasion, regardless of our various statements of faith, or even if you don't embrace faith, we can still treat people well. I believe that was Jesus' message, and I'm thankful for it. So I pray for Adam and the team that he has assembled. Give them wisdom and understanding how to get information to our elected officials. I pray for them that they also would have wisdom to make decisions, to lead us, and to guide us well. Lord, thank you for our time together this evening. In the powerful name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I ask Town Manager Mitchell to review our meeting protocol for tonight's meeting. Adam, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, board members. It's good to be with you tonight. Tonight's town board meeting is both in person and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and no scheduled public hearings. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on all those wishing to address the town board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the green registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. We ask all those wishing to address the town board during the public comment period to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the town board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period. Police Chief Medina will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer of this meeting to continue the public comment period if the meeting protocol is not followed. And this concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Adam. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the March 4th, 2024 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Entertain a motion, if no additions or edits to the minutes.
Mayor Massengill, I move that we approve the minutes of the March 3rd meeting as published.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Second item in regards to minutes. I know the manager sent out strategic planning retreat minutes this morning. If board members have reviewed those and would like to approve those, I will entertain a motion on those.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
point of
Commissioner.
order. When we approve these minutes, does that just acknowledge the meeting took place and the recording of it, but not necessarily those items that were discussed and approved by the board. I just wanted to be clear on that because I had a couple of concerns about some of the issues in the minutes that were discussed at the retreat. So I need some clarification on that.
So what I was asking for was full approval of the meetings, the minutes that were sent out in regards to everything that was discussed. at the
Okay,
retreat.
all right. If there are any issues, I can bring them up later on.
I would tell you to bring them up now, because that's what the minutes that were sent out this morning in regards to, is if there's a correction or edit needs to be made on them, that's what I'm asking the board. Does the board want to approve the minutes tonight in regards to the retreat?
Okay, I just had a couple of clarifications that I'd like to make comments
Go right ahead, sir.
on. And the first one was, I know that part of the discussion at the retreat was relative to the International Festival. And in the minutes, if I can recall, it had that a lot of the response to the International Festival would be that the staff would be involved. And that one of the things that the minutes identified was the staff would have strong expectations. And I would want that to be reconsidered as a stakeholder group that would incorporate not only the expectations from the staff, but the expectations from partners in the community. That wasn't stated in the minutes, and I think that that would be very important as we move forward if we're going to have an international festival. And I just wanted that clarification in the minutes. As it read, it just clearly outlined staff expectations, but I'm asking the board to redefine that and reconsider that that approach would be more of a stakeholder group that would involve citizen representation and input as well.
And that was the intention of everything with it from that point, Adam, is that?
I mean, am I?
And Mark, I know that this was an area that you presented on at retreat. I don't know that there was any discussion around setting a stakeholder group, but if that is the discretion and the pleasure of the board, we can certainly make sure that we do that, if that's the direction the board would like for us to go. But at retreat, I think we spend more time, and Mark, you speak to this as well, but talking about, setting some expectations around ensuring that whatever type of festival activity or multiple activities that we do throughout the course of the year appeal to multiple ethnicities and ethnic backgrounds within our community, versus being more finite to one specific ethnic background. And so I think the goal was to expand that and to make sure that it was more inclusive of ethnic backgrounds, and that would be the expectation that town staff would set as future plans. Now, if the board wishes for us to engage a stakeholder group, then we just need that direction.
Yeah, forgive me if I didn't make those comments at the retreat, but after I read the minutes today, it just popped out to me that that's such an important part of what we do here in Fuquay-Varina. Then you had the history of the Cultural Arts Society implementing or starting the initial international festival, that I think is very important that we be inclusive of that group as we move forward in planning this festival, because I think that their input needs to be formalized and important to the festival. So if we can be in agreement with that, I mean, if that's sort of what the board would agree to, I would be satisfied with that.
So, Mr. Mayor, maybe what I would suggest is that I think the minutes reflect what was discussed at the retreat. I think my recommendation would be to adopt the minutes reflecting what was discussed at retreat, and then tonight's minutes, if the board wishes to give staff direction from this discussion, that a stakeholder group be a part of future planning for a international festival or international festivals in our community, then we would reflect that in tonight's minutes so that it would be reflected in the town record. But I think the retreat, from my notes, reflects accurately what was discussed there, and then tonight's minutes would reflect, if that's the direction of the board, what was discussed tonight.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other additions or edits to it?
That's the only comment I had relative to those minutes.
Any other corrections or additions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is a presentation, item 4A, 2023 North Carolina Main Street Champion Award recognition. Last week, we had our Main Street Conference, which was held in Goldsboro, and it was a great attendance by the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association and some of our elected officials and some of our staff also at the same time. And one of the, there's many highlights during that week right there. Don't air the video yet. There's a lot of highlights during that time period right there. And there's a lot of breakout sessions, a lot of conversations, and a lot of thought discussion on from other communities in North Carolina that have Main Street programs and ideas that we collaborate with others on that other towns can learn from, just like we learn from other towns and bring back ideas here in Fuquay-Varina. And so it was a very, very meaningful retreat that accomplished a lot. But one of the most exciting things to top off the retreat at the end is the Main Street Champion Award. And so there was a meeting in the Goldsboro Theater, a presentation that day, and one of our own here in Fuquay-Varina, that is our North Carolina Main Street Champion, is a man that has done a lot for Fuquay-Varina from the standpoint of investments in downtown. He has built a downtown mixed-use building that is located at the Q, that's called the Q. He also has renovated a restaurant facility in downtown Fuquay-Varina that has a great restaurant in it. And he's also been a business owner in Fuquay-Varina, and him and his family have been involved in Fuquay-Varina for many, many years. And that individual's name is Bryden McCormick, who is here tonight. And so before we show the video, I'd like to have Bryden McCormick come up front with me. And we're going to show a video that has some information about Bryden. I'd like to introduce Bryden to everybody. This is my friend. This is my friend, Bryden McCormick, who is a local dentist also in Fuquay-Varina. This is a dentistry outfit, by the way, if you didn't know that. He came straight from work today. He's been busy working so he can continue to invest in our community. And so this video we're getting ready to play shows you information about what Dr. McCormick and what Bryden has done in Fuquay-Varina. So we're so proud of you, Bryden, for being our 2023 Main Street Champion here in Fuquay-Varina. Scott, let's roll the video.
Bryden McCormick, Fuquay-Varina. In 2008, Dr. Bryden McCormick moved to Fuquay-Varina after graduating from dental school. Bryden quickly began giving back to his new community by sponsoring Free Dental Day, an event that served more than 100 patients. He wanted to continue to serve, so he began sponsoring school events, sports teams, the local chorus, the museum, the Art Center, and the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association. In 2014, Bryden saw a downtown building that needed to be rehabbed. His vision for this building was an upscale restaurant. He purchased the property, completed construction, and the upscale restaurant became a reality. Bryden is always listening, dreaming, and determining ways he can serve the community. His latest vision helped to develop the downtown's first multi-story mixed-use building, the Q. This 4-story structure is 36,000 square feet, including a restaurant and retail establishments on the first floor, office suites on the second floor, and 16 condominiums located on the third and fourth floors. His willingness to always listen, dream, and act with a generous heart for needs big or small is the reason why Fuquay-Varina recognizes Bryden McCormick as its 2023 North Carolina Main Street Champion.
I should introduce Bryden's wife, Kristen, here, that's here tonight. We all know that I cannot do good things without having a good partner. So, Kristen, thank you for being a partner with Bryden also. Y'all would have really laughed at that when I fell over backwards on the floor. Lord have mercy, I had to get carted out of here by the police department and the fire department altogether. That'd be entertainment tonight. Speaking of our police department,
Maryland could take care of business.
Maryland can handle it, that's right. Our next presentation is employee recognition for our police department. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Police Chief Medina. Chief, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, board members. This evening, we're doing employee recognition regarding achievement of certificates. This evening, we have Officer Brooke Godwin, Officer Jay McMahill, and Officer Ryan Northgrave. They're being recognized for recently earning the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training Standards Intermediate Law Enforcement Certificate. To qualify for the Intermediate Law Enforcement Certificate, the recipients must have obtained various levels of job-related training and/or a combination of secondary school degrees. Officer Brooke Godwin started her law enforcement career with the Fuquay-Varina Police Department in August of 2021. Officer Godwin serves as a patrol officer in the Field Operations Division. Officer Ryan Northgrave started his law enforcement career with the Wake County Sheriff's Office in August of 2019. In March 2021, he transferred to the Fuquay-Varina Police Department and serves as a patrol officer in field operations. Officer Jay McMahill started his law enforcement in Pennsylvania with the O'Hara Township Police Department in June 2017. In September 2021, he transferred to the Fuquay-Varina Police Department and serves as a patrol officer in the Field Operations Division. Unfortunately, Sergeant Nate Baker was not able to be here this evening for a situation that took him out of the state, but I also wanted to recognize him for successfully completing the Criminal Justice Commission for Credible Leadership Developmental Certificate Program. The program consists of intense curriculum consisting of 500 hours of leadership training provided via 5 100-hour modules. Sergeant Baker started his law enforcement career with the Fuquay-Varina Police Department in September of 2016. During his tenure, he served as a patrol officer, a school resource officer, and currently as a patrol sergeant in Field Operations Division. We want to thank Officer Godwin, Officer McMahill, and Officer Northgrave for being awarded the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training Commission Intermediate Law Enforcement Certificate, and for Sergeant Nate Baker for continuing his leadership development by completing over 500 hours concerning the Criminal Justice Commission for Credible Leadership Development Certificate, becoming a 5-star credible leader.
First, I want to thank you for taking the time to continue your education and continuing to improve your law enforcement career here in Fuquay-Varina. You do an incredible job here in Fuquay-Varina protecting us, and recently, as y'all are very well aware, Fuquay-Varina was ranked as one of the safest in North Carolina and one of the safest in America right here. And by continuing your education and continuing your training helps Fuquay-Varina to continue to be the best police department it can be and the best one in North Carolina, and continue to be state-of-the-art and advancement for training here in Fuquay-Varina. So thank y'all for taking the time. I'm proud of you. This entire board is proud of you. All of Fuquay-Varina is proud of y'all. So thank you and congratulations very much. Shake everybody's hands, not go around over there.
Which way we do?
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Good job. Good job. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good job.
Next item on our agenda is presentation 4C, presentation of career ladder recommendations. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Human Resources Director Moody and Matt Reese, Piedmont Triad Regional Council. Wendy, good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Mayor, board members, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to introduce Matt Reese. He is our pay study consultant or annual market study consultant who has worked with us a lot, many hours at my beck and call. We have worked very diligently on career ladders, and so I'm going to turn it over to Matt to give you his presentation for tonight, and then I'll follow up.
Thank you, Wendy, I appreciate that.
Matt, welcome, and we're glad to see that you're wearing a wonderful, bright NC
Isn't
State
that
red
pretty?
tie tonight.
Isn't that pretty right
Was there some
there?
news over the weekend in regards to NC State?
You know, I think there was a game. Someone told me there was.
I
Something
think
about something
they won
every
the ACC
37 years,
championship, I
whether
heard.
it needs to happen or not, right there.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm proud of
yeah,
you for wearing that
yeah.
tie tonight.
Thank you, thank you. See, I'm having a little bit of a hard time bringing that into focus. Let me see here, it's a drop more. Wait, 5, oh, there it goes, okay, all right, I'm good now with my drop more application. So, here we are to talk about career ladders. So career ladders are something different. That's really the thing that I'm going to leave you with tonight. It's a different approach to how you would normally go about doing classification work. And so it takes the emphasis off of the pointy-headed analyst, which is always a good thing to do, and it puts it back on to the town's operations. So that's really the thing that you want to keep in mind. One of the concepts of it that you see here in our next chart is that it's the importance of establishing a career path for employees. So what this graphic here is showing you that 63% of respondents to a Pew survey said that lack of development in their career, of seeing a path for them, led to them looking for other opportunities. So having that career path is really important. And that having a career path that folks can understand, that has some transparency to it, and then importantly returns value back to the town. So this is based on skills and competencies that are important to core town operations, as you'll see as we go along. And really the credit, I'm just getting up here being able to cut down the nets for you, right? The real credit goes to your department heads and staff who understand what it is that it takes to operate their departments, worked with the folks within their departments to develop the revisions in the career ladder system that we're going to talk about tonight. So this is not my work. I'm just standing on the good work that your staff has done with that. So let's take a look at some of the details of what this is. So this is an example of the street worker in your public works area. And so on your left, what you'll see is a quick chart of where all of those levels are, right? As you go from left to right, you'll see that you've got a street worker 1 all the way up to a senior equipment operator. And then in that, you'll see the grades that come underneath that, of which grade that gets assigned to. That's part of the compensation system. And then you'll see where education and certifications land in what we're looking for in each of those levels. And then where experience is. And you can see that experience is in a variety of things, from small up to large equipment, and then in technical competencies. And then on your right-hand side, what you're going to find is a quick description of what those positions are. So this is really important to understand, is that this has been developed by your departments, right? In a typical kind of HR process, you would have the classification study that you know. Folks fill out questionnaires, we interview people, and then based on the observations of that work that's presented in those questionnaires and in those interviews, we classify based on what we see. Whereas this system is saying, we're going to put that path out so everybody can see it, so everybody can know what's my progression from going from a street worker all the way up to a senior equipment operator, to have that kind of transparency to it. And I know as I obtain those competencies and that there is a process that's going to move me along in that. So it takes out the process of trying to determine what a classification is through an external process and really puts it on these key internal values. So let's look at some other supports for that right quick when we go to our next one for water distribution. And so for water distribution, you can see the same thing of different department, different set of criteria, different customization that is needed for that. The skills levels are going to be different. The competition is going to be different. So they are going to be assigned to different grades that you see there. Those grades have a market relativity point that still is going to be part of your annual process of going through and doing a market assessment and being sure that those are competitive for you. But it's the same system. And I was really pleased to see a couple of things in this. That one, this is one of the more robust career ladders that I've seen. I mean, I really like its level of detail. There's some crutches that you could fall back on very easily, and none of those are presented in the work. And then the level of customization for each department is really, really nice. That they're really dialing in on what are those value points that are needed for work in their particular department. But again, you see the education and certifications that are needed, the experience that's there, the technical and advanced equipment that's going to be needed in each of those levels, and then you see how that gets to the narrative criteria on the right-hand side of your sheet that's there. So then on our next sections, what we're going to show for you is just a quick table. So you've got an idea of what are all the different career ladders in your different departments. This is for utilities. Utilities is the largest. It has the most diversity of all of those functions that's going on within it, a variety of those specialty areas. So we've got water resources, water quality, integrity, water distribution, sewer collections, pump, and wastewater treatment plant operators that all fall in there. Each of those subfamilies of occupational groups have their own career ladder that they will be moving folks through. Then for Parks and Rec, it's more consolidated, a very different approach there, that everything from a parks maintenance worker up to the senior tech is included in those, but it's the same rigorous structure of looking at what are those skills and competencies and education and certification that's going to be needed to return value back to the department. And then in Public Works, we've got sanitation, debris collection, and street maintenance that's all included in theirs as well. Again, they just did a really, really good job of putting it together. I think it's a very competitive career ladder and a good process. So how's it going to be implemented? As folks move from their lower level to their higher level, right? As they move from a lower grade to the higher grade, as they move from in one classification to a new set in the career ladder, it'll be a 5% change when they move upwardly, right? There are going to be a few adjustments that we've got to make to get the initial program started and implemented, but after that, it's going to fall into a very regular pattern of it's going to be a higher grade, a different title than that. But you'd see a street maintenance worker 1 would go to a street maintenance worker 2, and that would be a 5%. Now within that grade, right, when they're within the grade, they still can achieve their performance increases and still have that, and then they would move forward with that. Now, we do want to put some limitations on it because there can be a situation where someone would wait until they're high up in the range and then decide to take advantage of the career ladder. So a control to put on that is to say the career ladder needs to take place lower than the midpoint of the grade. So as folks are moving along, then they can. Now, if you've worked in that position long enough and gained enough merit increases, you may be ahead of the midpoint for the grade you would go into, right? It's the grade you would be going into. For in this case, if you were a street maintenance worker 1 and you were higher than 52,342, there would not be an increase for you with this particular pay scale, right? So it is controlled by that midpoint. Folks are going to go up as they move forward. And then in this particular year, I think this is a real telling factor. The estimated cost that you see up there at the top, that third line, is $6,500. And what that tells, now that's for the remaining period of this fiscal year, so that is a small cost. But really what that tells me is that this was a well-designed system. This was not just a system that was put in place to give incumbents raises, to move folks through. This was really done to have a tool to motivate people to achieve the skills and the talents that the town needs. And so moving forward, I think it is really going to be a very valuable tool for folks to use on that. I think that's my last slide. And yours.
Okay, go ahead.
There we go.
We'll switch out. Thank you. So as you can see, they have put a lot of hard work. It was not just an overnight, let's throw this together. And we also compared it to other municipalities around us. And honestly, our department heads put a lot more effort into it than the others did. So I was very proud of the work they did. But career ladders help define that custom path, like Matt said, the value-added skills. And that's what we want to do, is continue to educate our employees and help them find that path to move up. And obviously, we want them to do that earlier in their career and become that experienced employee to help benefit the town and the citizens of Fuquay. So it also enhances our ability to recruit and retain employees. So we want to increase that quality of service for our folks. The physical note, the full implementation, which is salaries and benefits, which is a little bit different number than what Matt gave you, was $8,145. So the potential fiscal year budget impact next year will be included in the budget development process for our eligible employees to meet those criteria. So we are available if you have any questions. And any questions before we move on? Okay, wrong way. So the recommendation is a motion tonight to approve full implementation of career ladders for Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources, Public Works, and Public Utilities as presented and recommended.
Wendy, I would tell you one thing. I think that, as you know, being Director of Human Resources, you're in charge of all of our staff benefits and related items right there from a compensation standpoint. And as this board is aware of, recently, through a customer quality service surveys, our citizens in Fuquay-Varina say that over 91% of them are consider Fuquay-Varina as an excellent and great place to live. And I believe that is because of our staff are providing a great job on their services that they provide to our citizens, which makes it a great place to live right there. Often some of our staff departments are ones that the public runs into with on a daily occurrence, whether it's Parks and Rec or water and sewer projects or trash department, but a variety of areas right there in regards to it that you mentioned, those departments here amongst just all of our departments here in our town. And I believe that is because we retain good employees. And so by doing this study right here, it shows what we need to do to continue to keep good employees and attract new employees to our town right here. And so this is an excellent plan right here. And I think this board right here will fully support this plan right here and keep our citizen satisfaction high.
Absolutely.
So, any other board comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Go Pack. Next item on our agenda is a public comment period. At this time, the deputy town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. The public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly stating your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Teresa, do you have anybody signed up?
No one.
Okay. Thank you. There are no items tabled from previous meetings for tonight's agenda. And there are no other public. Okay, sorry. Thought I flipped the wrong page. Our first administrative report tonight is item 10A, dedication of Fire Station Number 4, History Room naming. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Fire Chief Jones. Chief, good evening again.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you so much for this opportunity tonight. The fire department is an organization with a rich history in the town of Fuquay-Varina. While working with the building committee on the design of Fire Station 4, one of Chief Tony Malden's priorities was to ensure we highlighted the department's history in the new building. His hope was the new fire station would be a state-of-the-art facility and would be a place where our current staff, former members, and the community could enjoy the great history of our department. Not to mention, provide a beautiful space to show off the fully restored 45 Mack fire truck. His love of the department, town, and everything he did as the fire chief was evident every day. His impact on many of us will never be forgotten, and our hope is that his impact on the fire department and the town will also never be forgotten. To honor this great public servant, we would like the approval to dedicate the history room at Fire Station 4 to Anthony Tony Malden and name it the Tony Malden History Room. We'd like to recommend to approve the dedication of the Fire Department History Room at Fire Station Number 4 to Anthony Tony Malden and name it the Tony Malden History Room as presented and recommended.
Chief, thank you for bringing this up tonight. As we mentioned earlier, we know later this week is the grand opening of your fire station.
Yes, sir.
Y'all spent a lot of time within your department having a room for history and where Fuquay-Varina Fire Department started. And Chief Malden was instrument in the fire department, as we know, for many, many years, and y'all two worked together for a long
Yes, sir,
time
we did.
within our fire department. And I can't think of what better way to recognize Chief Malden at the same time and his legacy that he had on the fire department. And I know that you and the entire fire department stands 100% firm behind this recommendation.
Yes,
right
sir.
here.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you bringing that here tonight. Any other further comments from board members? If not, let's entertain a motion so he can get it done.
Mr. Mayor, I'm proud and honored to make a motion to approve the dedication of the Fire Department History Room at the Fire Station Number 4 to Anthony Tony Malden, and to name it to the Tony Malden History Room as presented and recommended.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. And that's 2 o'clock on Thursday. Yes, sir. All right, that's right. Everybody be there. Our second administrative report, item 10B, resolution endorsing Campo recommendations, US 401 corridor study. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Engineering Director Poling. Matt, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Town Board members. I am submitting this agenda abstract and its supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to adopt a resolution supporting the Campo recommendations associated with the US 401 corridor study. The recommendation is for alternative XZ should become the future US 401 alignment included in the 2055 MTP. Campo should prioritize projects identified in the MTP 2050 for US 401 between Banks Road and NC 55, NC 55 between US 401 and Andrew Bypass, and NC 210 between Andrew Bypass and the US 401, US 421. Campo should examine and determine the cost of a variety of small intersection projects on study area roadways and consider these for inclusion into the MTP. The recommendations also include improvements to or creation of bicycle and pedestrian facilities, as well as transit service along the corridor. Municipalities that have already endorsed the Campo recommendations are Harnett County, the town of Anger, and Wake County. And this is a map of the proposed alignment, XZ, based on public feedback during 4 rounds of public feedback. The coordination with the study's technical team and coordination with the stakeholders' jurisdictions. Alternative XZ provides a better alignment than the US 401 bypass currently in the 2050 MTP, and the project is still in the planning phase and is not planned for construction until at least 2050. And here is a map of the recommendations for the long-term improvements versus the short and the mid-term improvements. And the motion tonight is to adopt a resolution endorsing the Campo recommendations associated with the US 401 corridor study. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Matt, I know that this Campo, in fact, takes us up tomorrow at our regular scheduled meeting. And this study's been going on for a few years, and the overall project's been here for several years at the same time. This, as you mentioned earlier, this project still is one that's not set to start out 25 years from now. And we know transportation and traffic and growth in Fuquay-Varina and the amount of drive-through traffic, we often talk about how important it is. And this right here is designed to move traffic around Fuquay-Varina, correct?
Correct.
Bypass
Yes.
Fuquay-Varina from that standpoint, and help alleviate some of all of our traffic that drives into downtown and Sunset Lake Road and South Judd and Main, all the problematic intersections we have. It's an overall project to help that and planning for the future right there. I know I always ask you how soon something can get built, and this I know is at Campo and at DOT's level, and so this is not one that you can push along faster like we do on some of the others, but I do know this is a project that's important to many in our community, and we'd like to see it get built as soon as it can at the same time. Any other questions or comments from board members? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution endorsing the Campo recommendations associated with the US 401 corridor study.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you. Next item's 10C, budget. I'm having trouble talking tonight. Budget amendment, utilities waterline projects BA-24-29. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Public Utilities Director Wagner. Mike, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This item is to consider the appropriation of funds to the water capital projects line for the Public Utilities Department water line construction and the intent to reimburse. There is a fiscal note associated with this, $3,292,953, and the utility fund balance is proposed to be transferred to the capital projects to fund construction and the balance of the waterline projects that are listed. We have the Southwest Judd Waterline Loop. We have Ransdale Road Waterline Replacement Project. We have the Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline Project. And then we have our 2020 waterline projects, which include Vance Street, Holland Road, Woodland, Reynolds and Depot, and then Main Street. And those projects, the $3,292,953, $1,700,044 or $1,744,005 will fund a portion of the 2020 waterline replacements, with the remaining balance of those projects being funded by the 2023 water GO bonds. So the recommendation tonight is to approve the budget amendment BA 2429 and the declaration of an intent to reimburse as presented and recommended. Answer any questions.
Questions or comments from board members? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve budget amendment BA 24-29 and the declaration of intent to reimburse as presented and recommended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda, item 10D, contract award and project ordinance amendment POA-24-15, Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline. More information about agenda item will be presented by Public Utilities Director Wagner. Mike, don't go anywhere.
I will not. So I appreciate the budget transfer so we can look to award and move forward with some of these projects. The first one is the Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline, which is a consideration of the project ordinance amendment 24-15 and the contract award to Sanford Contractors for the Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline. This is going to install a new water line, approximately 12,000 linear feet of water line from Willow Spring High School south down Kennebec and Maud Stewart to Tram Road. It is a 12-inch water line, and we're estimating construction to take approximately 330 days. The funding for this project comes from the existing project ordinance for the Kennebec and Maud Stewart water line, but the budget was not large enough to cover the project cost. So the budget amendment would be a 24-29, which was just approved, transferred $3,292,953 from the fund balance to capital projects, of which $443,746 is designated from the project ordinance amendment 2415 to fully fund this project. So we had some funds in the existing line item, and this is making up the difference toward this project. So the project, again, is almost 12,000 linear feet, and this will ultimately loop a water line into Saunders Farm subdivision and provide that pressure and quantity redundancy over to the Carolina Gardens and the Hidden Valley subdivisions as well. So the motion is to approve the Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline Project Ordinance Amendment 24-15 and contract award to Sanford Contractors to undertake the Kennebec and Maud Stewart Waterline Project in the amount of $2,043,746 as presented and recommended, subject to town attorney review as to form. Do you have any questions?
Pull that previous map up real quick for me, Mike, if you don't mind, please. Adam, we have between Highway 55 all the way to Maud Stewart and Kennebec, that whole kind of corridor that we're seeing start to develop. urban service area agreement through that area, is that correct?
We do have a annexation agreement with Andrew on the south side. Is that what you're referring to?
Yep, all
Yes.
that area, so all that's all future
do.
Fuquay-Varina right there.
That's correct.
Yep. All right, ways we, more tax base to help work on roads
More utility rate.
and build more, and you keep rates down, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I think this is a great project, and I'll make a motion to approve the motion as read by Mr. Wagner here.
We got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, administrative report, item 10E, contract award and project ordinance, Ransdale Road Water Main Project. More information will be provided by Public Utilities Director Wagner.
This project is consider the project ordinance and the contract award to Moffett Pipe for the construction of the Ransdale Road Water Main Project. This water line project will replace approximately 1,200 linear feet of 8-inch asbestos concrete pipe that's currently on Ransdale Road. We're trying to do this project ahead of the town sidewalk project that's going in, with that asbestos concrete pipe being over 60 years old. Once construction starts, that pipe can easily fall apart, and we're trying to get ahead of it and get a good water line in there, and that way we can avoid any, tearing up the road again after the road is paved, and it's a responsible project for us. The estimated construction time period is approximately 120 days, so we'll work with our contractor after award to try to coordinate when the schools get out, so we can have a successful project and have the project done before the sidewalk project. The funding for this project requires the project ordinance for the Ransdale Road Water Main in the budget amendment 2429, which was previously approved earlier tonight, of which $725,204 is designated from the project ordinance to fully fund this project. Again, the project is approximately 1,200 linear feet, and it'll replace the asbestos concrete pipe with ductile iron pipe. Management and staff's recommendation is a motion to approve the project ordinance for the Ransdale Road Waterline Project and award a construction contract to Moffett Pipe to undertake the Ransdale Road Waterline Project in the amount of $725,204 as presented and recommended, subject to town attorney review as to form. I can answer any questions.
Mike, would you say that this project, along with the sidewalk, everything will be completed together?
This project is independent of the sidewalk project. We need to get the water line done before the sidewalk project. I would have to defer to Matt on the timeline.
Correct. That's what I was going with. When will this be done, so the sidewalk can be done? Matt?
This will be done before that project. We've got to get it done and get out of there.
How long will that take you to get it done and get out of there?
The contract is going to be for 120 days.
Okay. And then Matt, you're ready to go to work after that? Cool. Perfect. Be ready by this fall when school starts? Excellent. We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item 10F, contract award and project ordinance amendment, POA-24-16, Southwest Judd Parkway, Loop Waterline. More information about agenda item will be presented by Public Utilities Director Wagner.
This project ordinance amendment 24-16 and contract award to Busco Contractors for the new water line on Southwest Judd Parkway. It's to install approximately 1,700 feet of 16-inch water line from Infinity Self-Storage north along Fleming Loop Park to Academy Street. The estimated time of construction for this project is 120 days. One of the main drivers behind this project is when we have the Sanford conveyance line come in, we need to be able to push that water throughout the town. And if you think about Judd Parkway and some of our undeveloped areas along Judd Parkway, the water will come into town and it will push around town, around through Judd Parkway. So there is a project cost with this. It's $792,997.50. Funding for the recommended project comes from the existing project ordinance, which is the Southwest Judd Parkway loop from West Academy Street to Infinite Self-Storage. A The budget amendment BA 2429 was previously approved this evening, of which $379,998 is designated from Project Ordinance Amendment POA 24-16 to fully fund the project. Again, this project runs from the storage facility along Fleming Loop Park and will help water quantity and quality and pressure towards that south side of town. The management and staff's recommendation is to approve the Southwest Judd Parkway Loop Waterline Project Ordinance Amendment POA-24-16 and contract award to Busco Contractors to undertake the Southwest Judd Parkway Loop Waterline Project in the amount of $792,997.50 as presented and recommended, subject to town attorney review as to form. I can answer any questions.
If no further questions from board members, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, administrative report, item 10G, contract award and project ordinance 2020 waterline projects. Public Utilities Director Wagner.
This agenda item is for the project ordinance and contract award to Moffett Pipe for the construction of the 2020 waterline projects. These waterline projects were designed in 2020, and we have been slowly trying to chip away at these waterline replacement projects. And between COVID, it is finally kind of caught up to us, and I think it was perfect timing to try to get all these projects out to bid at one time. And we got we had at least 5 bidders on all of the 4 projects. Except for this one, we only had 2 bidders, and we had to re-advertise the project, but we still got competitive bids, and it came under the engineer's estimate. This is to replace water line on Woodland, Depot, Reynolds, Vance, and Holland Road, and then the Main Street line from Jones Street to the north of us down to Academy Street. We're estimating 365 days of construction. And funding for this project requires the creation of the project ordinance for the 2020 waterline projects, the budget amendment BA-24-29, which was previously approved tonight, of which $1,744,005 is designated from the project ordinance and $2 million from the 2023 water GO bonds to fully fund this project. The project maps are included in the presentation. The majority of the water lines that are being replaced are old galvanized pipe. So these are subject to fail. The cast iron has definitely failed us, as we saw, at the end of January and February with the freezing this year. We're excited to try and move forward with this. The galvanized pipe is subject to be replaced anyway if there were lead service lines up or downstream identified. We have not identified any lead service lines at this point. So management and staff's recommendation is to approve the project ordinance for the 2020 waterline project and award the contract to Moffett Pipe to undertake the 2020 waterline project in the amount of $3,744,005 as presented and recommended, subject to town attorney review as to form. Any questions?
No further questions, entertain a motion so moved.
Motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, item 10H, consultant selection and award, stormwater asset inventory assessment and CIP development. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Engineering Director Poland. Matt, good evening.
Good evening. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and the supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider consultant selection and contract award to consulting firm Friesen Nichols Incorporated for engineering services for the stormwater asset inventory assessment and CIP development project. The contract award, it's to perform town-wide stormwater asset inventory, assessment, and CIP development. It comes to us or the way we are funding this is through NCDEQ's ARP grant funding, which was awarded to the town in the amount of $400,000. In October of 2023, we issued an RFQ to perform these services. We had 5 firms that submitted. Staff is recommending that Freeze and Nichols Incorporated tonight as the most qualified firm to perform the assessment. The inventory assessment and CIP will help staff better plan for short and long-term capital stormwater projects. We will evaluate stormwater capital needs, stormwater utility to meet budget capital needs as well. And there's a fiscal note, $400,000 awarded via NCDEQ funding. Town previously established project ordinance and appropriated $125,000 for the total project cost of $525,000. And here's a map showing where we're going to focus this asset inventory. It's basically our downtown areas where we have older infrastructure, and we really don't know the condition of it. A lot of our infrastructure is pretty new right now, and so we have a good idea of what a lot of our newer subdivisions look like, but this is, the general area where most of our older infrastructure is. And the motion tonight is to approve consultant selection and contract award to Freeze and Nichols Incorporated for engineering services for the stormwater asset inventory assessment and CIP development project in the amount of $525,000 as presented and recommended.
Matt, you spoke about downtown as being a primary area, which obviously our downtown, as you mentioned, also is older infrastructure. All new development that is constructed is required to capture its stormwater and prevent it from runoff and then slowly release it out at that point to help from overburdening creeks or rivers in regards to that. How long has that law been in place?
For
the
the,
requirement to have BMPs and stormwater management on new construction?
it's been several decades. I can't give you an
Okay.
exact,
But-
but it's been in place for a very long time.
For over
yeah.
20 years?
Yeah.
All right, that'll be several decades, over 20 years we'll go with then.
Yeah.
So for over 20 years, anything new is required to manage stormwater runoff in regards to that. And that's part of your department's job is to verify what is designed by an engineer and then that gets installed correctly and that each new project is capturing what its runoff is and slowly releases it. What I'm going with, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that, exactly what you said, older infrastructure that was built a very long time ago did not have any rules in effect, but today anything new that's built has rules in effect to help prevent this type of stuff, and that's why we're going back trying to help fix some areas that have been older areas that have infrastructure that has a lot of runoff.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay, all right. Any other further comments from board members? If not, we're entertaining a motion.
I do have a question. We have some areas in downtown where when we have lots of rain, the streets will flood. Do you see any that this may improve some of those situations?
This will help us identify those areas and we'll actually put together a CIP plan, for those trouble areas. So yeah, the study will identify those areas and then we'll make recommendations as well.
Good.
Will this study take into account, and I know also you may have fixed all of this, at one point in time, stormwater used to be tied into sewer lines, long time ago. They'd run it all together and run out to a creek somewhere farther out there and send it on down to, further places. Does this inventory asset try to find any areas that may still be tied in where we got stormwater going into sewer and now we're having to treat stormwater when we'd rather not be treating stormwater in the sewer system? So
that is an illicit connection. It is illegal to have a stormwater connection into your sewer pipes.
So if you were to discover it during this, then that'd be something that we'd be
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know of any?
It was done in probably often in the 30s and 40s. That type of stuff was done all the time. And so that's what I was talking about, old stuff like that. No, it sure helped our O&I on our sewer plant, wouldn't it, Mike?
Mike would not appreciate that.
No, but you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Old stuff that was done in that way.
Yes, sir.
Also, back in the day, they just took it in a bucket and dumped it in the creek in the backyard, but we don't do that anymore either.
I guess not.
Mayor,
Just
what
to
you're
be clear,
refer-
we don't do that anymore.
Definitely not the Mastigo household. I don't know about that kind of household.
We don't do it on purpose anymore.
Just leave that for the bears and deers. Mark.
And what you're referencing with the combined sewer system is a big issue in a lot of older urban cities that have were designed, Washington D.C., for example, the entire sewer system and stormwater collection points would flow into the sewer treatment plant, and get inundated in a rainfall. Fortunately, Fuquay-Varina, its infrastructure is newer to the point where we don't have a lot of those issues, but this is going to help us come up with a capital plan that can inform our asset capital predictor tool so that we can mitigate the types of issues that Commissioner Adcock identified in the future.
We didn't have a sewer system in Fuquay-Varina in the 1700s when DC was built, pretty much. And back in the day, the solution to pollution was dilution, and that's what they did. They put the stormwater in out. So, anyway, we'll take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consultant selection and contract award to Freeze and Nichols for engineering services for the stormwater asset inventory assessment and CIP development project in the amount of $525,000 as presented and recommended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda, item 10I, Administrative Report, Fuquay-Varina Downtown Social Districts. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Assistant Town Manager Seymour. Jim, good evening.
Mayor, Board, good evening. How are you?
Good.
Hey, good.
All right. All right, so the purpose of my agenda item is to present a recommendation to the Town Board to consider adoption of an ordinance establishing a Fuquay-Varina Downtown Social District and operational plan in downtown Fuquay-Varina. Just a little bit of backstory on this. In 2021, the state passed legislation allowing local governments to create social districts where people may consume alcoholic beverages sold by an ABC permittee within a designated social district. Again, in order to have a downtown social district, those municipalities that wanting to create those districts must pass and adopt an ordinance. And in that ordinance, they must establish the day and hours of operations of the downtown social district. They also must adopt a management and maintenance plan, and then, of course, register with the North Carolina ABC Commission. This is a voluntary participation by the businesses that would be located in the district. We'll talk about that in a little bit. As of March of 2024, this month, 59 municipalities across the state of North Carolina have implemented and adopted social district ordinances. Since March 2023, last year, 25 have, just since last time that this board has heard consideration of that. So again, the last couple of years, what we've been doing is a lot of public input, a lot of research. So we put this on Let's Talk Fuquay-Varina. We've had several information meetings, we've had many information meetings with our downtown businesses, our downtown stakeholders, with the FEDA, chamber, businesses individually, residents downtown. We've also met with our peer communities to have meetings and discussions. This is something that at the time over the last couple of years, we've met with those. I personally have met with those several jurisdictions that have implemented a social district to discuss, how it's going, what it took to implement it, and have had those discussions. We've also talked with not only my counterparts in town management, but we've talked with downtown development, we've talked with police, we've talked with council members to find out how those social districts are going. We've also talked to the North Carolina Retail Merchants Association and the North Carolina League of Municipalities. Both of those organizations at the state level have helped guide that legislation that took place in 2021 and the update to it in 2022. A little bit of history with the town board here as far as consideration of a social district. It was initially presented to the board in October 2022. At that time, the town board elected to table it to the next month, November 2022, and then in November, they decided to table it till March 2023 when it was presented for consideration, and that motion did not pass. So since then, we've had our 2024 town board retreat where we had a good discussion about the social district at that time, and the town board advised management to bring this up for consideration, so here we are tonight. So management's recommendation for a social district includes the hours of operation, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday and Friday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday. If adopted and approved, within 6 months of enacting a social district, management will report to the town board the actions and everything that's been going on within a social district. We'll bring that back up to the town board in a public meeting during the town board meeting. Also, prior to any enactment of a social district, town staff would assess pedestrian safety improvements, making sure that crosswalks, that everything is visible. Anyone where there's going to be pedestrian traffic, make sure that the curbs, the crosswalks, curb and gutter, all that is in good condition. We're currently doing that, but just, in addition to starting the social district. Again, part of the required state law in order to have a social district is approving a management and maintenance plan, which would be, undertaken by town staff. Again, the overall management of the downtown social district would be the Downtown Development Department. Security and enforcement would be handled by the town police department. Sanitation and maintenance would be taken care of by the town's Parks and Recreation Department. Marketing and promotion would be taken care of by the town's Communication Department and the Downtown Development Office. Also, the creation of a social district would require us to put up signs that says, that states when somebody is walking into the social district and when they are leaving the social district. Those signs would have information on it as far as, you know, some of the primary points of making sure, of having the social district. So, again, when we talk about establishing a Fuquay-Varina downtown social district, we have to establish certain boundaries that would be codified in the ordinance that the board would adopt, and these are the Fuquay district and the Varina district boundaries as far as where we would, where staff is recommending a social district. And for those businesses that participate, those ABC permitted businesses that participate in a social district, part of that requires you to, when you are providing beverages, they have to be in a plastic cup and they have to have a certain label, a universal label that would be for all the businesses within the social district that are allowed to sell alcohol. And again, we talked about this being a voluntary program where you see these three color stickers where they would be placed in front of a business where if you are an ABC permittee and you're allowed to sell alcohol, you would have a sign that designates your business sold here, that you participate in the Fuquay-Varina social district. Again, that would be registered with the town. If you are a non-ABC permit business and you do not sell alcohol, but you still want to allow patrons in your business that have that cup right there, social district cup, you would have a sign on your door that says beverage is welcome. And then if you do not want beverages in your business, you would have a sign that says please no beverages. And this would be something that the town would provide these businesses that are within this social district. So again, you don't have to participate in it. If you want to, it's clearly indicated on the front of your business whether or not you are voluntarily participating in the social district. This map that you see here are social districts that have been adopted across the state, and then some of them that are currently under construction. Again, 59 of them are currently adopted within the state, and there are several more that are currently considering adoption. A fiscal note with this, again, if the town board were to adopt it, there is some cost associated with getting the social district up and going. Again, that cost is minimum, and it's something that we could absorb in our current fiscal year budget. That cost is mainly associated with, again, those signage throughout the district, again, letting people know where the district starts, where it ends, when you're entering, when you're leaving, and again, some general signage, labels, to get a lot of the businesses going. Again, if this were to be implemented, the town would print those labels. We'll print those labels going back here for the those that want to participate, those sold here, beverages welcome, please no beverages. Again, we're going to be responsible for accounting for those businesses that want to participate, those that sell alcohol, and those that do not want to participate. But then eventually, then we will provide the label so then businesses can print them themselves. But again, the town wants to help every business get this going and want to be a good partner in that. So the motion before the board tonight, at management and staff's recommendation, is as follows. Motion 2, 1, approve the recommended ordinance establishing the Fuquay-Varina Social District. 2, designate social district boundaries within the town's downtown districts as indicated. 3, establish social district hours of operation, Thursday and Friday, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m., and Saturday between the hours of 12 p.m. and 9 p.m. And 4, establish a social district management and maintenance plan as recommended. I will entertain any questions you have.
Thank you, Assistant Manager Seymour.
Thank you.
Deputy Town Manager Seymour for bringing this, this agenda item tonight. As you mentioned, this was discussed at retreat, and direction that was given to management before commissioners is they would support a social district being brought up and approving that. One of the biggest concerns in the past was safety. Safety and pedestrian crossings. Recently, at retreat, we also designated downtown crosswalks to be funded in the next budget, which you're in the process of doing right now.
Yes, sir.
For lighting up those crosswalks and having lit signalization at those crosswalks to help alleviate a safety concern. Yes, from the police department standpoint, last budget, we added downtown police officers at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Directly for that, and the idea behind this, and several police police officers in general to the police department too, not just for this, but overall safety of Fuquay-Varina, being that safety was important. You know, these are restricted hours, as you mentioned right here. The previous slide you have up here, we showed up previous slide. Is every town, no, the next one, every town or city in North Carolina has chosen what works for them, and that's what is being proposed tonight is a restricted amount of hours for Fuquay-Varina to try it out, see how things go. Trying it out and seeing how things go. Last week, we were at the Main Street Conference in Goldsboro. Goldsboro had a social district that we saw there and implemented very well at that time. We have resolutions of support from our Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association, which represents the downtown businesses supporting this. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and I will just add that we've had resolutions passed from both the Chamber and the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association. The Fuquay Downtown Association was great in helping us get the word out, education about the social district.
On this map right here of these green, the different cities and towns in green, have any of these speaking on this, Spectrum News had an article about social districts last night. Have you been aware of any of these communities up here having issues with it?
No, sir. Matter of fact, those districts that expanded and have taken the similar approach that we are recommending taking tonight have since expanded their districts. Several of these jurisdictions, several of those 59 jurisdictions have expanded.
Dip your toe in it and try things out, and then when you see what works, and they've added it.
Yes, sir.
That's what you said right there. Chief Medina, from a safety standpoint, do you have any issues on being able to handle safety?
That's been a topic of discussion with a lot of the chiefs of police that I interact with, both associations. And when we did the study last year, 35 or less, none of them were reporting any issues as people thought they were going to be experiencing. None of those issues have come up.
And as you continue, so no issues have come up so far, and as you continue, I know you're involved with the Chiefs Association, Chiefs Conference across North Carolina and travel around. Have any of your other chiefs been sharing with problems that's caused?
No issues.
Okay, no issues at all. So you feel like your department can handle safety, no problem? Okay. Any other comments by board members or any motions to be made?
I wanted to ask, when this originally came before the board, there were several different variations of it. How does this that's presented tonight compare to the most restrictive version that was presented previously?
Yes, very restricted. So initially, when this was presented in October 2022, the recommended times and hours of operations were 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. In March, we presented 3 alternative options. One of those options was that 10 to 10, 7 days a week. The other alternative was 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the alternate version was what we're presenting tonight, which is the 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So the hours are the same as what was presented before as the most restrictive option?
Yes, sir, as one of the alternatives. But when we started, first time town board presented this in October 2022, it was 10
How
a.m.
about
to
the
10 p.m.
district?
Pardon?
The district.
The district has remained the same since we presented it in October 2022.
Okay. The other thing is, this requires signage. I'm not a big fan of signs, but I just want to make sure I understand the signs are required by the law.
That is correct.
Okay. The last thing, there's a 6-month window that we're going to, as a town, reevaluate this. What do you expect that to, for the board, in 6 months? What are we going to be presented with? And what are your thoughts on the 6-month piece of it?
So following the operation and management plan, so what we intend to do is observe how it has been operated, how it's been managed, what the security, security and enforcement, talking and working with the police department to ensure there have not been any issues. And then, of course, the sanitation and maintenance, making sure that, we have adequate, trash and recycle receptacles, to accommodate for any increase in pedestrian traffic. And then the marketing and communication, making sure that those get the right information, both internal, which would be the businesses, and then those external, those patrons coming down to the community. So really, it's just following up and making sure that we are implementing successfully the operation and management plan.
Okay, good.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner
I would
Gardner.
move-
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
I move that we, one, approve the recommended ordinance establishing the Fuquay-Varina Social District, and two, designate social district boundaries within the town's downtown districts as indicated, and three, establish social district hours of operation, Thursday and Friday between 4 and 9 p.m., and Saturday between 12 and 9 p.m., and four, establish a social district management and maintenance plan as recommended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second.
Not
Any
ready.
further discussion?
Not ready.
Not ready. Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner
I have some
Harris.
comments to make, and, I'm wondering, as I said at the retreat, why we're bringing this up again, because at our initial discussion, of course, I voted against it, and as you know, I think that this is an important issue for our community. The first thing that amazes me is with all of the information in the cities, there's no cost data. That's the first thing. Nobody's talked about and given a definitive answer as to how much this is going to cost. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, we pride ourselves here in the community, Fuquay-Varina, as being one of the safest communities in America, in the country, and having worked in the field of substance abuse and having been past president of the Fuquay-Varina Citizens Against Drugs, we worked tirelessly to make sure that we could deal with the addiction issues here in Fuquay that really nobody wants to talk about. But they're here. And part of what the social district does, even though the intent behind it is to increase economic activity and vibrancy, it sets up an environment in our community that makes the possibility of using substances more, because we as a municipality, we are basically saying that this is okay. Historically, laws were created to avoid public intoxication, and from this perspective, social district sounds like it's not necessarily what it is, but what it is giving people the opportunity and the freedom to go from one business establishment with alcohol and to go to another business establishment. I mean, that's basically what it is. And we are making the assumption that alcohol will have the same minimal effect on everybody who visits the district. There is no data to say that there's an economic benefit to social districts. With all the municipalities around, I mean, I haven't heard that there is indeed an economic benefit. There's a feel-good benefit because people say, well, we have a social district, but the economic benefit has not necessarily been talked about as part of the presentation. The other thing is that there are other business owners downtown who may be impacted, who don't want to be part of a social district, who don't want to have anything to do with it at all. And, I think for my consideration, that's very important as well. So I'm looking at that standpoint. Do we really need the social district to get what we want to get here in Fuquay-Varina? Do we really need it? And I just don't see the wisdom behind it, even though other municipalities may accept it, but the vibrancy, the things that we are proposing to be the result of a social district are antithetical to alcohol use and substance abuse use. I worked in the substance abuse field for over 30 years, and I've seen the devastation of what addiction can do. And it's a subtle kind of attack that happens. I don't think people intentionally understand that. But from that perspective, I have to vote no for a social district. just cannot support it. And I think we as a community and a town, we can still be vibrant, we can grow, we can do all these things without necessarily having to have a social district.
Thank you for comments, Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Haynes, please.
Mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no clapping on either side of the discussion tonight. Commissioner Haynes, I think you want to speak?
Yes, first off, one thing, the signage of the cups, is that state statute that the town of Fuquay-Varina logo has to be on it?
No.
I definitely would go against that. I just don't feel like the town logo of Fuquay-Varina should be branded on those cups, just from so many standpoints. So I definitely disagree with that. I guess, since everybody said that I didn't say anything in the last meeting when we had the vote, I got a lot to say today. So, a few things. Thank you, town board and managers, for actually allowing us to discuss this in town board retreat, this past town board retreat, and have in-depth discussions. I appreciate that. Thank you. Secondly, when we sat up here the last time, we listened to every single person. I'm one person who listens to every single person. Regardless whether I like what you say or whether I don't like what you say, I listen to what you say. So it's not like we just didn't listen to it and we did that to a deaf ear. We listened to every single person, read every email, we did that. Some things that were definitely issues with me from the last vote was safety concerns. We talked about that in the last town board retreats where, I felt like there were some big safety concerns before I could even vote either way on it, because I felt like we needed some more, but now we're working to get lighted crosswalks and lighted things for pedestrian walking. I feel like we're a lot of safety issues. One of the things that, people said they had a lot of data, but I didn't have enough data for myself. So now I have tangible data that I've received from other municipalities, not just in the state of North Carolina, but outside the state of North Carolina, that's helped out a lot as well. Just this past week when we were in DC, I was able to sit down and have deep conversation with many of the mayors, councilmen, managers, different people who have already implemented social districting, as well as they're working towards social districting, and what issues they have, as they're working towards either voting for it or working through it. So I definitely had time to do that. I also appreciate all the business owners that I had conversations with, business owners, building people who own the buildings, as well as even faith leaders, because I know that was some of the concerns in the last time we voted as well. I had a conversation with them, regardless of whether the conversation wasn't the best at first. We understood each other by the end of it, so I appreciate those people who sat down and talked with me. I tell people I'm an open door. You can come down and sit down and talk to me anytime. So, many business owners, once we had their vote, you walk in the room, they turn their heads and walk away, which is fine. I still patron your businesses, and I still send people to your businesses. That's not a problem with me as an elected official. So, I definitely appreciate that. So some of the issues that I had, some of the comments that were made this last time that actually Commissioner Harris brought up about, how we can't work together now because we don't have this social district, and so many other statements that were made didn't sway me in the right direction, didn't sway me to, vote for it last time. So a lot of stuff has been answered to that past time. A lot of different things. Have been able to see some of the economic growth from social districting in some of our bigger metropolitan towns compared to last time. So like I said, for me, it was, we're really rushed this, and we didn't really have enough data for me. Now, for you, it might have been enough data, but for me at that time, it wasn't enough data for me to really make an informed decision. And since everybody said I didn't say nothing, these were the thoughts that were going through my head at that time. It wasn't that I was just like vote against it because this to me was not a religious issue either. As many of y'all know, I'm a Baptist minister. This is not a religious issue to me. This is a lot more stuff behind this. So it wasn't that part either. So I've heard all these things, but people got to understand, when I took this oath, I had to make decisions based on every single citizen in the town of Fuquay-Varina. Whether they like me, whether they don't like me, whether I like what their stance, or whether I don't like their stance. At the end of the day, I still have to make votes based on every citizen in the town of Fuquay-Varina. So those are my comments towards this, Mr. Mayor. Please, thank you for giving me this time, but I just wanted to let people know where me, Brian Haynes, without anybody saying what I thought or was making a decision on, happened. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Haynes. We do have a motion and a second on the floor.
I just wanted to make a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Wanted to say
Commissioner Watts?
that, I was not on the board when this was first discussed, but I read everything that the town has provided us. Also saw where many other social districts across North Carolina go even later, go up to 10 p.m. or later. So in my decision process on this and thinking through, as Commissioner Haynes said, I've never been one that drinks a lot at all, not much of my 50 years of life, but I also have to think about small businesses in our town. I have to think about where people stand. It's not about me, it's about what's in the best interest of our community, what's in the best interest of our small businesses. And one of the very compelling things that I read, and I've read in other places, is that none of the towns that have established it thus far, and I know it hasn't been a long time, have reversed their course. They have all stayed the course, and they have chosen to continue to adopt these. I know when Fuquay-Varina put out for a month on Let's Talk Fuquay, there was an overwhelming amount of people that were in favor of it. I watched the meeting back in 2023, and there was an overwhelming amount of businesses that were in favor of it. As safety concerns were brought up, I felt like they were addressed not only tonight, but at our town board meeting, those safety concerns that could be present. And also the ability to have a 6-month trial period where it would be looked at and, if whatever wasn't working out could be adjusted or modified or added to, depending on how it was done. But Fuquay-Varina has always been a town, and we pride ourselves on thinking forward, on being a town that is not a follower, but is a leader. But we didn't pass it last time, and now there are 59 communities that have. And this is no longer a novel idea. We're no longer a town that's leading the way in this. We've had the benefit of seeing that there have not been problems in these other towns with it. We've gotten to hear from our chief, we've gotten to hear from our management. And so I think we're at a point where trying it out is a good thing and is not a novel idea. It's something that's being done and is rapidly expanding across the state. And so in considering all that, I would be in favor of this motion.
Mayor Massingill, I did want to just return.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, go ahead.
In due respect, there was no vote taken when the night this was presented before, because the motion did not receive a second. Several board members, Commissioner Harris included, stated whether or not they were for it or against it, but not every board member, and nobody voted on it because it did not receive a second. It died for lack of a second. So just to correct the record there. Those of us who have, are members of the downtown board here have gone to a number of meetings over the course of 2 to 3 years that have presented a lot of information. And this last meeting we went to just last week, this time, when they had 25 new, since the last time we discussed this, they have 25 new communities that have adopted a social district. And a number of the ones they already have expanded to have, some of them have more than one social district in their town. And some of them have just expanded the districts that they had, the footprint of the districts that they have. But there was information given about the economic impact. Perhaps that was not referred to or presented clearly tonight, but there is an economic impact. A number of them have new businesses that have come in, and one of the reasons they chose those downtowns was because that was in place. So that was one that a number of them had happen. But if anybody wants that information, there is plenty of information. That's the reason they're expanding. That is the reason they're expanding, is because they have been successful where they are, and they have not brought the problems that were in, that were people were thinking that they would bring. So anyway, I just I feel like, all of us have really studied this issue in our own ways, but that's how I have contacted women's clubs across the state. I feel like they're volunteers that are doing community service across the state, asking them how the social districts have, how they feel like they've done in their towns. And everything was very positive, just very positive. And then these meetings that we've been to have facts. They have the research that's been done and the experiences of the communities that have had them. I say we need to try this. We have, in the beginning, I felt like we needed something that fit our town. I think that's been tweaked and retweaked till we have something that I think may fit our town, but we will not know until we try it. So I just think that's really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
Mr. Mayor, there was an article too I forgot to bring up that you referenced that just came out yesterday, which talked about how they're booming all over the state, and the town of Selma has received an enormous economic impact and benefit from doing the social district. So there have been examples of where it has positively affected downtown.
Thank you, Commissioner. Once we have a motion and second on the table, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes. Next item on our agenda, other business. Item 11A, manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to brief the board on this evening. First, town staff, as you mentioned earlier, and elected officials attended the North Carolina Main Street Conference this last week in Goldsboro. It was a productive time and to learn about what other towns are doing in their downtowns to continue to make them vibrant and economic drivers for their communities. I want to thank the FEDA for their participation. I believe Fuquay-Varina had the largest delegation at the North Carolina Main Street Conference and got a lot of recognition for that. So for all those that attended, want to state our appreciation for that and your involvement in making our downtown continue to thrive. The Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department is holding a food truck rodeo on Sunday, April 7th. The food truck rodeo will take place from 12 to 3 at the Centennial Square. It'll feature 8 food trucks. On the food side, there's Chicken and Q, Tacos Las Gringas, Lobster Dogs, and Hot Spot. And for the dessert food trucks, we'll have the Royal Cheesecake and Varieties, Fairy Tales Concessions, Pelican Snowballs, and Mr. A's Beignets. So it should be a great day. The band Smile will perform from 12 to 3, and there will be a kids zone that will offer face painting and a bounce house. Should be fun. The Young Actors Theater production of Finding Nemo Jr. Will perform Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Both shows are sold out. The Raleigh Ringers, the internationally acclaimed handbell choir, will perform at the Arts Center on April 5th at 7:30. The Inclusive Theater Variety Show performs April 6th at 2 p.m., and the town of Fuquay-Varina will celebrate being a Tree City, USA community with Artist Tree on April 13th from 1 to 4 at the Arts Center. The day's activities will include drawing projects and free tree seedlings. So we encourage the community to come out and participate in that event. We had 2 career ladder moves in our fire department. Caleb Thompson has advanced from a firefighter 1 to a firefighter 2, and Colin Marley has advanced from a firefighter 1 to a firefighter 2. So we want to congratulate those 2 gentlemen for their career advancement. Deputy Fire Marshal William Lingle received his Master's of Arts in Organizational Leadership from Waldorf University this past month. So we want to congratulate Deputy Fire Marshal Lingle as well. Officer Iman Rashan was sworn in as a police officer by Mayor Massengale yesterday afternoon, and our police department was able to raise $3,600 from this past weekend's polar plunge at the Retreat Apartments. And in total, the police department has raised nearly $27,000 this year for Special Olympics in North Carolina. We're only in the month of March, $27,000, and they lead the way in the state of North Carolina, as we expect our police department to do for this great effort and great venture. The Smart Sheet project tracking solution that I mentioned at our last board meeting will go live March 21st, this Thursday. And beginning in April, board members will start receiving project status updates via this Smart Sheet software application. Our IT department will be sending training materials out to board members before the April 2nd board meeting to guide you through how to access this in real time. Today, I and Assistant Town Manager Seymour, Planning Director Davison, and Assistant Planning Director Sigmund attended a roundtable discussion this morning hosted by the Triangle Community Coalition that featured Tim Minton with the North Carolina Home Builders Association and Jim Joyce, a professor of law, public law, and government with the UNC School of Government. The presentation was excellent, and it was an insight into current, new, and possible future legislation that affects local control and land use planning. So it was good information for us to have. There were a number of individuals from the other communities here in Wake County that also attended that meeting just to stay up to speed on what is being thought about in terms of land use regulations in our county and in our area. Today, myself, Assistant Manager Matthews, took a tour this afternoon with Fire Chief Jones of our Fire Station 4 facility in anticipation of the opening of the station and the, I won't call it a ribbon cutting, I'll call it an uncoupling, and that'll be explained on Thursday. It's going to be kind of a cool new little thing we're going to do. That facility is absolutely amazing. We are very fortunate to have a facility like that in our community, to be able to serve our community from the fire services standpoint, but also providing an excellent work environment for our staff. So I want to thank the town board, the community for working with us to get this project across the finish line. It's an excellent facility. Mayor Massengale, myself, Assistant Town Manager Seymour, and Chamber of Commerce President Dustin Williams last week toured the new Wake Med Medical Office building on US 401. The 82,432 square foot state-of-the-art medical facility opens this spring, and it'll feature orthopedic, physical therapy, primary care, cardiology, urology, pediatric primary care, OBGYN, and radiology, imaging, and laboratory services. A lot of medical disciplines in this one facility. It's going to be a great amenity for the citizens of our town and surrounding areas. I want to thank Wake Med for choosing Fuquay-Varina to locate this facility. Mayor Massengale and I also met with the Government Affairs Committee of the Raleigh-Wake Home Builders Association. We do this annually, as do other Wake County managers and mayors, to provide an update on the initiatives that the town is embarking on. We met with over 50 home builders, developers, realtors, and consultants to provide them an update on what's happening with our town. It was a productive meeting, and I think the town is being viewed as a very professional and favorable community here in Wake County. And the last thing I would say before just running through a few of the items on the agenda itself is budget, budget, budget. We are in the thick of it right now. Management has been meeting with finance department staff and the individual department directors to review their budget recommendations. And I look forward on April 22nd, 2nd, to at our budget workshop to provide an excellent balanced budget plan for your consideration. So, or to begin chewing on anyway. So I wanted just to make those comments to the board. In addition to that, on your agenda, I would just make sure to draw your attention to the Fire Station 4 ribbon cutting on Thursday, this Thursday at 2 p.m., and that's at 4821 Wade Nash Road. The Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 23rd, from starting at 10 a.m. at Fleming Loop Park. I think it's going to be a great event for little ones in our community. The FEDA will also be hosting the Downtown Candy Hop that same day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So lots of candy opportunities in Fuquay-Varina that day for those with sweet teeth. The arm wrestling competition between the police and fire department to raise funds for the Special Olympics will be on Sunday, March 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Fainting Goat Brewery. I mentioned the food truck rodeo. We will have our first Follow Me to Fuquay-Varina concert of the spring season, and we're going to kick it off in a big way with the Embers. This is Thursday, April 11th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at Centennial Park. Another charity event, Holsters and Hoses, Saturday, April 20th at Fainting Goat Brewing Company. This will be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I think this is the event where two departments are competing to build beds for youth, and so a very worthwhile charity event that our police and fire department will be participating in. The budget workshop, April 22nd, 6 p.m. in this room. And then you do have two first readings for your consideration that were before the planning board last night. A town code amendment, amending our land development ordinance. That is a first reading, as well as a zoning map amendment submitted by Michael Blakely, Drafting and Design Services. This is for 710 South Main Street and 115 Hillcrest Drive. Also a first reading that will appear on your next agenda. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions that the town board may have. Otherwise, that concludes my comments for this evening.
Comments from management this time? All right, moving to board member comments. Commissioner Harris, any comments?
Let's see. No comment, Mr. Mayor. I have no comment.
Commissioner Adcock, any comments?
You know, one of the reasons that I like being a town commissioner in Fuquay-Varina are all the things that are happening in this town. This job that we have it's not easy, and it is, we have to make a lot of decisions, and when you look at this agenda tonight, from approving where future roads will go, to spending millions of dollars on infrastructure, to the subject of the downtown social districts. All of those things they're not easy things, and we're always going to have different opinions on different sides on how they should be handled, but it's fun to be part of it, and I appreciate the citizens of giving me the opportunity to be part of it. But that's it. I just wanted to make a comment. I think we had a really good meeting tonight, a lot of really good topics, and glad to be part of it.
You said you enjoyed being on the town board, Commissioner Adcock. I'm glad you're on the town board too. Very glad. Commissioner Watch, any comments?
I enjoy being back on the town board and getting to be part of these wonderful decisions. We're blessed to have a wonderful town board, wonderful town management, wonderful town staff, and awesome citizens. And I'm just so glad to be a small part of all of that. Tonight was very special. A lot was accomplished at this meeting. Wasn't the longest meeting we've ever had, but a lot was accomplished. And I just wanted to say, for the portion where we honored Chief Malden, I'm so glad that we did that. For the 8 years that I came into our boardroom, whether it be our former boardroom or this boardroom, I'll never forget his smile. He brought everyone so much joy, and was that just happy presence always. I never saw him, I didn't work with him all the time, but he was always happy when I saw him. And I know, from talking to him, I remember how important history was to Chief Malden. And so when I saw that on the agenda, thank you, management and staff, for making that happen. But before I conclude, because this is a big day in her life, I wanted to, and I wasn't able to be with her tonight, but I wanted to wish my daughter Lila a happy 11th birthday. Today's her birthday, so thank you very much.
Very sweet. Happy birthday. Commissioner Haynes, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm looking forward this week to Fire Station number 4, seeing how it looks. I see it every day when I come in, seeing what's changed. I was happy to see the asphalt go up, and I've been watching it every day, so it's been exciting to see that go on throughout the last few months. Definitely, I want to thank Commissioner Harris. This past week, we were in D.C., and I want to commend him on hosting a wonderful North Carolina municipal elected officials reception. That was a good job. He made great comments. I got it on video if you want it. Also, I was able to attend both councils that the North Carolina League of Cities appointed me to, the Small Cities Council and the Real Equity and Leadership Council, which we are working on some great initiatives and policies to help, especially small cities council, which we're on that higher end of small cities, but we're still a small city, to some initiatives and some policy changes to help all of us get more funding. Also was able to sit with our elected officials in the United States, and that was amazing to talk to people on both sides of the aisle, as we know, and be able to discuss things. And all I said is, town of Fuquay-Varina, we need money. We need money for water, sewer, and they said, okay, we're gonna work towards it. So I definitely appreciate all of them for saying that for us, and they see the great work that we're doing here in the town of Fuquay-Varina.
Thank you, Commissioner Haynes. We always need money, that's for sure. Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, any comments?
Yes, I'll try to be quick, but it's been a really active couple of weeks here. One of the sessions at the North Carolina Main Street meeting, and that is the largest state Main Street meeting in the country, and then Fuquay-Varina had the largest contingent there. This man and woman were there talking about, and they had been asked to go and talk to the Main Street programs across the country to make them aware of all this grant money that is available. So I'm looking forward to getting when they send us the links to what people said in those sessions. I'm looking forward to getting that, because they put something up there, a pie chart, and the biggest part of the pie chart was for transportation. But anyway, if they would say how much money was available for that, and then they say, go get the money. So I'm telling you that there's grant money that we could try to go get anyway. The events that we're invited to, oftentimes sponsored by the Chamber or another of our wonderful organizations here in town, like ribbon cuttings and things like that, are lots of times for new businesses. But we had one this month that was our grand reopening for a business that's been in Fuquay 18 years, and it's a restaurant. And I just think that a restaurant that can sustain itself and be getting better after 18 years is really to be celebrated, and it was Tacos Mexico. And congratulations to Maureen Daly and the Arts Center on their 5th anniversary. It was the most wonderful celebration. I hope some of you got to go. It was 3 nights of concerts, and they were just wonderful, every one of them. We are so fortunate to have that venue and that activity in our town, and we thank you and your staff for all you do every day that we can have that. And I am thrilled about the fire station. I'm so excited about it. I'm like Brian, I go by it a lot, and I'm really excited to be able to see that everywhere and to celebrate Tony Malden and his, Chief Tony Malden and his legacy. He has left us. I look forward to seeing the history room. And I took the polar plunge with the police on Saturday, and it was fun.
You look good on that Instagram video. I saw you jumping in there.
And it was not so polar. I mean, I appreciate that they waited till March to do it, because it was a pretty nice day. But anyway, it was a great day, and the sun shone.
It shone bright.
Warmed
you up that day.
It did. The sun was shining on Fuquay-Varina all these times.
Maybe we can get the chief to do it in about January next time for you, if you like that.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner. Several of these items have been hit on that have been discussed. I do want to remind our citizens about the Wake Med office building. It's called an office building, but is a variety of medical services there, and Adam mentioned those earlier, and that's opening up next month. And what was interesting about that facility, as big as it is, it's got multiple areas for expansion where they are planning on existing areas to be quickly at capacity in a good way, meaning that citizens are going there and expanding those areas. They have a 3rd floor they can finish. They have other office space within it. but the services are ones that are either new to Fuquay-Varina or ones in Fuquay-Varina that are already capped and they're expanding, such as where they have pediatric services that are coming in there. Many offices in Fuquay-Varina are full. They had some other services in there that were, as I mentioned, were new to Fuquay-Varina, but ones that were expanding. We're not simply shutting down the other facility and consolidating. They'll be both open, so it's more capacity right there. And I do believe our citizens will really appreciate that right there. You know, on Saturday, Jonathan, we have an Easter egg hunt, and I know your staff works very, very hard on Saturday to get that ready. And I've used an analogy before. When the horn goes off, it is like a vacuum cleaner of kids across that field for those Easter eggs. And anybody that's listening or paying attention, when we say it starts at 10, it starts at 10 o'clock, and at 10:03, the eggs are gone. So be there on time, be there early, get your spot. We want every kid to enjoy it. They're breaking up in different age groups so that all kids can have a chance to get Easter eggs and fun treats within that. What did you tell me, Jonathan, 18,000 eggs? 33,000 eggs. That's twice what I just said out loud. 33,000 eggs, and they will be gobbled up. And so that's good and exciting. Your team does a great job with that, Jonathan. I know it'll be a great job on Saturday also with that. We'll see everybody at the fire station uncoupling on Thursday too. Hope to see everybody there. Adam, is there a closed session tonight recommended?
No recommended closed session this evening.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
All right, you too.